Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So given when this video is first posting, I'm guessing we might be having potentially a lot of new viewers to the channel who may come across it, because it is right after the holidays and some people may have had Farming Simulator gifted to them, or just bought it for themselves or whatever it is, and so may just be coming across channels that are doing things actively with Farming Simulator. And so I just wanted to briefly explain what this series is. So this is the VIP series on my channel. So there is a mod, which is short for a modification that you're able to do in Farming Simulator called the VIP Order Manager, that is kind of at the center of this series and is what kind of guides what's going on. The simplest way to explain this is it's in essence, think of it as quest guidance for your farm, where basically it's going to tell you this is what they want you to work on. And so we're on level 9 right now. I'm filling in the strawberries. I'm worried I may have a little bit of an issue in that this is kind of the challenge. I've been putting in even amounts, but you can see I'm off a little bit. I'm worried I'm going to be short 2 liters here, but I'm going to try it this way and hopefully it will work. And then the other open item we have left for level 9 is wool. And then we've got other orders we can get some early visibility to, so we can see the next 3 levels. So once we fill this level, level 13 will come available. So that in a nutshell is what I am doing in this series. And so at this point I'm headed to Stu's farm shop to deliver these strawberries because we're finally at the point where we have enough going on. Now the challenge is, like, I've converted the greenhouses to tomatoes. It's not like the end of the world if I have to create one more pallet of strawberries. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Probably take the remainder of the day. Maybe not that bad, because it's really just 500 liters that we're going to be creating. But either way, what I would do if I need some is I'll go ahead and create an additional pallet just in one of the greenhouses, and that will be, you know, somewhat of an overage here, but it's kind of the nature of how it's going to work. There's not really a way to output 2 liters of strawberries. I think I'm still going to be waiting for quite a bit for the wool, so I think that's just going to be the nature of it. And so that's why I thought, well, I'll get this over, and if somehow this doesn't round itself out and let me be complete, I'll certainly address it then, because we'll have plenty of time to do so. So let's see if we get a green on strawberries or if we're going to have some left. And sadly, as you can see, we have 2 liters of strawberries left. So I'm going to need to do that. So let me get back to the farm, get that taken care of, and get another pallet back here, and you can join me then. Alright, so for those new or old, what you will start to find is I tend to change my mind because I determine that I missed something or forgot to do something. So at this point, I need to get some soybeans going. The reason I need to get some soybeans going is level 10 needs those. Everything else, I have kind of a clear path on how to fulfill things. I either already have the sunflowers, for example, the tomatoes are in the process of growing, and we have the sunflower oil ready, and if we don't, we'll be producing it from the oil mill. So soybeans are the only thing I don't have in existence right now. So I need to get those in the ground, and rather than simply let the time pass by while I'm waiting for strawberries, I'll just go ahead and use the time to work on the field and get soybeans in the ground so that things can start moving forward. I'm just taking a peek over here at the wool. Looks like we've just got 2,000 liters or so of wool, so a long way to go for the remaining 19,000. So not a huge rush here on the farm, but I'd like to at least get done what I can get done. So I need my seeder, which is over here. keep using this tractor simply because it's my strongest tractor. So it's going to make things as easy as possible. So that should be soybeans. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to plant that on the large field now. So I'm on the map Riverview Farm here. So that is where we are working currently on our VIP order series. And again, I kind of want to make sure that I don't just assume people are following series the whole way, because I've just kind of realized as a content creator, especially on a channel that at this point I don't really have any new series or any substantial new series that I'm making a lot of progress on. I'm doing a few things in the Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo series, but I'm kind of struggling doing things in those, so it's slow going and kind of sporadic between episodes. But, you know, I'm not looking to stop these other things I'm doing in Farming Simulator because I really enjoy them. But I also want to make sure that anybody new to the channel doesn't suddenly feel daunted and like, well, I can't join this series in progress because I don't know what's going on. Really nothing I'm doing on the channel requires any prior knowledge or anything like that. So it's just easier to go ahead and jump in wherever you like and figure out what information is good. So I want to give enough information, and that includes what map we're on, at least every few episodes, so that kind of like if you're showing up at a new place for the first time, you can feel welcome and not just be like, well, I haven't come here and I don't know what's going on. So hopefully that gives you enough. If it doesn't, if you're new and would like to understand a little bit more, certainly drop a comment and I'll be happy to answer any questions, and that will also give me some guidance of what I'm omitting and sharing with folks that new people are interested in, that I need to keep in mind in my checklist as I go through and get things going. So at this point I'm going ahead, putting soybeans in the field. Now this takes a little bit of time with the spreader or the seeder I have, simply because of its size, but most of our fields are not this large. So this field does take a bit of work, but obviously we're not generating a lot of product, and the bigger problem I tend to have is I don't want to go with very large implements because this map is very, very tight in spaces, and so having a big seeder, for example, is just going to be really, really difficult to maneuver, and in a lot of cases is just not going to be something that we need to worry about. And I'm also running into the situation, as I am now on the farm, where I'm going to be waiting for months and months on the wool anyway from the sheep. We're kind of at the point with the productions where I really can't do things very quickly. The first few levels, I was able to plant, you know, the 4 or 5 fields I have up by the farm and just make those productive in 1 year, and then suddenly fulfill 4 or 5 different line item orders. Up here at level 9, going into level 10 shortly, the order sizes have increased from our VIPs to the point where that becomes more and more difficult to do. And so, other than it does physically take more real time for me to do this work, you know, I'm okay letting things just go ahead and letting the work get done. And so right now I'm not changing things out. It's also why, you know, I could have a seeder that would fertilize at the same time, and then I wouldn't have to come through with a fertilizer spreader. But again, I need to put lime down once in a while and so forth, and so I like to have a spreader that does both those things. And so in that case, because of the same time issue, I don't really have a problem doing it this way. So this may take the better part of the day. That's the other thing is, you know, I just show key work moments on the farm or when I have something to discuss. So I'm not going ahead and showing substantial amounts of work here. That exists for those who kind of want to follow along in real time or just see more I do that a little bit more in some of the other series I have. But in these cases, you know, however long it takes is what it'll take. And you'll just be back here when I'm done, and then I'm also hoping in the time it takes me now to plant this field, which is probably going to be the better part of the day, that the strawberries, the 500 liters of strawberries I need to finish the VIP order, will also have time to grow. So I'm going to continue getting this field planted. At some point I'm also going to have to fertilize it. You know, I may be able to jump into that. We'll see what the status of the strawberries is kind of at the end of each piece of work. And if I can take the strawberries in, I'll certainly do that at the appropriate time. But I'll see you in a bit. So one of the things I am doing is, you know, kind of letting automation help things go along. So the field is continuing to be planted so that I can do something else. And the greenhouses are going to be running out of water, so I want to start refilling things, and haven't done this in a bit, so I'm going to run down to the river here. Outside at the end of the road is where I collect water up. It takes a few trips because this is only 8,000 liters, but nice thing is I can move it relatively easily. So, for those who might be wondering, yes, there's some sugarcane there. We've got some VIP orders coming up. We have some stored up, but right now we're just not sure if we're going to need more or if they might show up in level 13. And right now I don't have a need for the field, so it doesn't really hurt to leave things there, because getting that replanted and regrowing is potentially going to be extremely costly. So should be able to fill up. There we go. So we've kind of got this little beach here. You can see there's rocks up to there, and then we hit rocks again. So I found a while back that I'm able to go ahead here and fill up at the river here. So I am getting close. You know, I might just take things over with an individual tractor. So I'm kind of working along here to make that happen, because I was at about almost 400 liters already of strawberries, so we're getting very, very close to them getting ready to pop out of the greenhouse, and then I'd be able to move them over and get that VIP order taken care of. I put some tomatoes in over there because I knew we were... Okay, there we go. I just am not far enough. I just isn't is not good grammar, but yeah, there were some tomatoes on the other side that I didn't want to lose track of, so I had moved them over to this side of the greenhouses. Just check the strawberries again. We're at 431 liters, so yeah, I'm thinking a couple runs to the river and we'll be just about there. And then what I'll do is I'll get that over to the shop, let you enjoy completing that order with me, which will happen obviously very quickly given that we just need 2 liters. And then I'll continue doing what I need to do, filling up the water in the remaining greenhouses and going ahead and getting those soybeans done, and likely probably getting them fertilized. So when I had left the field at that point, I think it was on the 4th time around. So it's moving along relatively quickly, but it's also been about an hour, so not in real time, again in game time. Not far enough yet. So it's always a bit of a challenge. Usually you got to get the back of the tanker toward the water for it to actually trigger appropriately. So I'm going to get this back to the silo and get to the point where I've got those strawberries ready to get moved. Move them over to Stu's shop, and I'll have you join back up with me as I'm getting ready to deliver those, so I'll see you in a bit. So not too much longer into the morning, a little bit after 10:30 here, and we're arriving at Stu's to get them the last strawberries and then a little bit extra. Quite a bit extra. We only need 2 of these 500 liters for our VIPs. The rest we'll just sell to Stu so that we don't have to worry about them. So you can see the strawberry order is now green, but because we've not finished the entire VIP level, we're not really getting anything additional other than that. But we got about $400, or 400 pounds. Sorry, I keep forgetting I'm over here in England. It's a payday, which is a good thing. We've got a really large payday coming up. So there's certainly, you know, a part of the discussion that would be relevant. I think if folks ask me, you know, well, you've got nearly 1 million pounds, why don't you upgrade the planter, say, so that it won't take as long? I may look at that to some degree, because I think I can go to the next level up, and that would make some sense. Part of it is I need to start seeing, I think, some large crop orders that indicate I really need to regularly use that field from the VIPs, and right now there tends to be a lot more production items. So you can see we're working away. They're going ahead and still planting the soybeans, so my helpers are doing their job. But I'm going to get this back, and as I said, now that I've got that done, our focus is on the wool, but for the remainder of the day, my focus will really, be on the soy. Well, that was fun. At least you got to see that live, so hey, who said there isn't any excitement in Farming Simulator? Luckily I stayed out of the river. That would have turned into a lot more challenge than excitement, for certain. But what I was saying is I'm going to get this back to the farm, and I'm going to continue working on the field, continuing topping off my greenhouses. I was able to get one of them full and another one about halfway, so I'm about half done with what I need to do with the water. But I'm sure I'll have a busy day, because if nothing else, I can always go ahead and fertilize that field with the soybeans to just make sure that everything is as productive as possible. But I will then go ahead and be back when it makes sense to do so. I have gotten the water topped off. I am now trying to go ahead and get the TMR mixer moving again, because I do need to continue to move forward with the cows. Looks like I have a little more need for silage, or a little less need than I thought. Go ahead and grab my TMR wagon and move some stuff over to the cows so that they can begin processing again, and that will start getting everything else moving as well. So the pile of sugar cane is there. Put a little bit more grass because I topped off my sheep, because they were down to about 2,000 liters when they can take 11,500. So I've topped them off, so they should be able to eat for quite a bit. But yes, we only have like 2,500 liters of wool, so there's just a lot going on. And so yeah, I've been kind of looking to see what else can I do to put myself in a position to be ready. And I don't need slurry, I think, till level 11, but I need like over 200,000 liters of it, and I only have not quite 70 right now. So that means I need the cows to continue to keep adding to the slurry. And the bigger challenge is going to be, will the barn have enough capacity to hold that much slurry, or am I, by its very nature, going to be actively producing it later. So it's just a lot of activity. The other thing I realized is I do have that slurry tank that I moved the slurry with, but I don't remember if that's all it takes is slurry or if I could do water with it, because I think that has a higher capacity. I'll have to take a look at that later. While that starts filling, take a look, we can see we've got 70,000 liters of slurry and quite a bit of space, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to get the over 200,000 liters of slurry that we need into that barn. Now the challenge is I have plenty of straw, as I'm sure you remember from the last episode, all the fun we had with that. But of course some of that fun was self-inflicted in that I had not thought of just renting a baling wagon that could very quickly move a lot of the bales. So it was some manual work and then some less manual work. So this should be pretty good. I'm going to leave the trailer here like I have been in the past. I'll probably leave the tractor in there too. I don't have an immediate need. So as I'm getting a little past noon, it's 1:30. You can see I've made decent progress. I haven't added any seed yet, so this is still that first load of seed. So that's the nice thing. Soybeans are not seed intensive, and even with them not being seed intensive, you can see because of my soil quality on this field, my variable seed rate has things pretty low, at the lowest level possible, in fact. Now, taking a quick look here, it looks like field 12 is showing up as outdated data, so I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to resample the fields again. So as a reminder, what I've done is I just pay a company to come ahead and do that. So we've gotten that field updated. Field 8 is a bit spotty because we've done multiple harvests. You can see there's certain rows that have started to have outdated info. So I'm less worried about that field. Part of the goal of keeping up with the soil sampling is that it helps with our environmental bonus. So at this point I've got an 8% premium. Basically resampling field 12 bumped me up a couple points on my environmental score, which if it did change anything, it would have been by 1%. But you know, a field like this one, for example, was going to be substantial, and it was only about $1,600 to do that. It could be less expensive to go ahead and do it myself, but given everything else I've got going on the farm and the fact that we're servicing some VIPs, I do give myself the luxury here of splurging a bit on things that might be less cost effective, but move things along so that I can focus on what's important, which is getting things moving and processing as quickly as possible for the VIPs. So there's very little I can do beyond this right now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just continue moving forward with the work. The challenge I'm going to have, now I'm going to fertilize this field at some point as well, in between now and the next time I have an episode coming out. But I've noticed for level 12, we have raisins that we need to create. And to do that, I think I need grapes. So we have suddenly got ourselves a bit of intrigue in that I was worried about sugarcane, but I may have a need for grapes. And so I'm going to have to think about that, because I have never done grapes nor turn them into raisins, which I think is simply a processing situation. But once again, that's one of the challenges that I'm trying to enjoy here with the VIP series, is really being pushed to do things that I don't normally do and try to kind of figure them out and meet the VIP demands. And with the premium they give me, it lets me go ahead and invest in things like putting grapes in for a time, or putting sugarcane in for a time, that might not normally be something I would do from a straight perspective on the farm. So I'm going to have to take a look. I'm not going to make any decision on that until we finish up with the wool for this level, and I see what comes up in level 14, because again, I don't want, or level 13, I don't know, whatever the next level will be that will appear. I don't think we're seeing level 13 yet, but if I have sugarcane, you know, I may then leave that on the field. If not, I may convert the sugarcane field to grapes, or what I may ultimately do is find a small field. The problem that I don't know is I don't know what the output of grapes is. So I don't know how many vines I need. But again, if I start working that early, I'll at least know, and I can go ahead and do some of that. This becomes very similar, however, to the sugarcane decision of, I don't think I'm going to invest in the equipment for grapes, but then if I'm leasing it and so forth, you know, there's a cost there, because I think there's a good amount of things that need to happen for grapes. So I did notice that, and then the slurry in level 11, the grapes, or the raisins, are in level 12. So I've got some things to think about while I continue to finish up the work here on the farm, and I wait for my sheep to give me enough wool. The other thing I've got is at some point I'm going to get 15 more sheep. I have 50 right now. At some point we'll have some more born, and we'll max our sheep pen out to 65. And that should help a bit. But not much else I can do right now other than kind of speculate about the future. So maybe I'll go ahead and do a little bit of that. But at this point, I will see you next time.